I will going to take a roll call here in 60 seconds. It was really my way of buying time to get the gavel, the micro gavel, because how can we run the meeting without the micro gavel? Hunter A. Bell.
Here.
Great. Governor Angelo.
Here.
Governor Clark.
Here.
Governor Grabicki.
Here.
Governor Higginson. Governor Kang. Governor Knight.
Here.
Governor McBride.
Here.
Governor Peterson.
Here.
Governor Shichetti.
Here.
Governor Stevens.
Here.
Governor Swagel. Governor Tollefson.
I just admitted Governor Tollefson from the waiting room.
Thank you. That's 10 members. We have a quorum. We will proceed with our meeting. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to combine the welcome and the president's report to consolidate all the speaking time I have to do. It's very exciting to have everyone here. I wish happy summer, though I wish we could be in person in Skamania County, where we had originally planned this, and we have not been to that part of the state in a while. At the end of my report, or near the end, we will be recognizing a local hero from Skamania County. And I congratulate Skamania County in advance of nominating such a wonderful human being. I want to remind everyone about Zoom etiquette. There's an electronic hand-raising function to help us try to identify when people are raising their hands. I'm also trying to monitor, looks like about 25 screens at once. So be patient. Hand raising will also be required of the public audience to make sure we get to notice you are trying to raise your hand. Okay. Thank you all for being here. Good to see you. Before we get to today's business, however, and we do have a lot of business, I want to speak to the events that happened at our June meeting, the resulting actions that are underway. These actions are at the top of my mind and are certainly informing all of our work. Our June meeting was one with many difficult conversations, and we looked at how to respond to the death of George Floyd and so many others as a result of systematic anti-Black racism. We also grappled with issues of representation as we elected a new member of the board for the Diversity at Large seat. As I wrote to the membership, I want to acknowledge that statements were made at the board table that were both offensive and painful, especially for people of color, and in particular, our Minority Bar Association partners. While we are, as a board, took actions to promote diversity and equity in our courts and legal profession, I understand how those individual painful comments continue to illustrate and perpetuate the very problem itself. Foremost, I want to state clearly, I renounce racism in any form. I had to take a lot of time after the June meeting to process, I'm still processing, my own personal reaction of pain before looking at how I respond as a leader and how we as an organization respond. The WSBA, in its court-ordered directive and charter, its mission, and its daily work value-driven staff, set a standard for a diverse, equitable, and inclusive organization. What happened at June at the board table is not reflective of the WSBA's work or values, or I believe the values of this board. And I will acknowledge there have been very public calls for the resignation, censure, or removal of Governor Higginson. I want to let you know what is happening to address these matters. As I announced soon after the June board meeting, we have invoked a formal process to investigate the complaints. This is the process created by the board and approved by the Supreme Court to involve an outside ombudsperson appointed by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court to avoid any conflict of interest when the board needs to investigate its own conduct. That process is underway, and processes take time. I'm sure all the parties involved, from Governor Higginson to this board, to the outside members, to the staff, to our minority bar partners, it couldn't come sooner, but I hope in the next few weeks there will be more on that. But that does not mean this board it has to be sitting on its heels, and it is not sitting on its heels. We are balancing our feelings of extreme urgency to repair broken trust, while also prioritizing being very intentional and thorough in our approach to self-education. We are sequencing our next steps after consulting with experts and much consideration as follows. First, I'm going to be discussing with the executive committee an elimination of the extra business meeting I scheduled for August, so that the board can focus on reflection, education, and contemplation. We have a few informational or necessary things that might come up with in August, but I believe a pause in new policy development is in order so that we can take some time to process all of this appropriately and attentively with our full attention. And as we already told the board and our partners in the minority bar associations, Director Nevitt, President-elect Shichetti, and I are jointly committing our authority over the next year and a bit to an ongoing and in-depth conversation and training on diversity, equity, and inclusion, both with the board and the staff. As I mentioned to you earlier, I mentioned to our partners earlier, it was our intention to retool our retreat as an opportunity to kickstart this process with some intensive training. I also thought it would be very meaningful to invite our partners in the minority bar associations to engage in a public, important dialogue about how the bar can better understand and represent their concerns as members of the WSBA. However, in looking at the availability of meaningful, skilled trainers that are available, our commitment to have those conversations be as constructive as possible, we are choosing to first lay some essential groundwork through initial foundational diversity, equity, and inclusion training for our board. As you know, trainers who are most highly recommended are in extremely high demand right now during this time in our country, which our entire country is wrestling with these issues. And we believe embarking on a thorough and truly high quality training is essential to moving forward. So we want to be respectful. We want to respectfully schedule meaningful time for direct and public dialogue with MBAs. And we also want to make sure we're getting appropriate training. In the meanwhile, we've already scheduled and already engaged in individualized resources for board members with one consultant on race equity expertise and education, and we're going to be engaging in more resources for the board in an individual manner before we build up to our public trainings as well as our public meetings with our valued partners. So with that recap about what's happening and what steps are happening, I hope we can focus on the business at hand on the agenda, even as we hold in the forefront of our mind that we have an ombudsman process underway and we have much work to do as a organization, as individuals, and as a country, which we are a part of. And that work we do will not be without recall that the work we are doing is built on work done by giants. One of those giants passed away 1 week ago today. That great human once said, "Ours is not the struggle of 1 day, 1 week, or 1 year. Ours is the struggle of one judicial appointment. Ours is not the struggle of one judicial appointment or one presidential term. Ours is the struggle of a lifetime, or maybe even many lifetimes. And each one of us in every generation must do our part." That legendary human being was civil rights leader and U.S. Representative John Lewis, who died at the age of 80 last Friday. But his legacy of getting into good trouble, his words, to oppose systematic racism is still very much alive and will continue for years to come. Lewis dedicated his life to protecting and advancing the rights of Black people in the United States. He was beaten and arrested as a freedom rider in the early 1960s. He galvanized seas of people alongside Martin Luther King at the 1963 March on Washington, and spent nearly 4 decades championing causes of marginalized communities as a U.S. Senator in Georgia. In the last few years of his life, he worked tirelessly to get the Voting Rights Advancement Act enacted into law as a way to guarantee every American's right to vote. He said, "The vote is precious. It is almost sacred. It is the most powerful nonviolent tool we have in democracy." I'd like to ask us all to take a moment of silence to honor and think about his life and work. Thank you. The good person also said, get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America. And as we all know, sometimes we have to get in trouble to make good progress. In related news, I have very good news about the WSBA. The board voted, you might recall earlier this year, to fund for our members as a benefit 3 ethics related CLEs on the subject of Governor Stevens.
Yes, Mr. President, I just wanted to, first of all, thank you for the remarks you had to make regarding John Lewis. And I just wanted to share with my colleagues one of his other quotes that guides me. And that says, when you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have to speak up. You have to say something. You have to do something.
Thank you, Governor Stevens. And speaking of, this board voted to provide our members with free ethics credits in 3 distinct areas. And I wanted to report to you on that and some of the other great work our WSBA staff have been doing in that regard. We originally had a bias ethics CLE scheduled to be delivered in July, but due to Corona, it's been moved to September 15th. We did, however, have a free legal lunchbox on hate crimes in March that had over 2,068 attendees. We are also delivering one in August on gender-based violence, and we expect that to get 2,000 attendees. However, I think that's an underestimate because I was just told that on Tuesday, this board, the funded ethics booster on technology and on lawyer wellness, just broke a record, all-time record for the WSBA. We had over 3,080 people register for that CLE, and that is more than we have registered for any legal lunchbox or other free programming to date in the history of the bar. And that's because of direct action this board took to fund those programs and make it a free ethics benefit to our members. So I want to thank the board for taking that step, and I want to thank the members for taking advantage of that opportunity the Board of Governors was able to make happen. And thank you in particular to the Department of Advancement and the CLE team. Great work, everyone. Director Plachi, Santhi Raghu, and everyone else who worked on those matters. Thank you. Also, delegates are being sent in by our Minority Bar Association partners to our Equity and Disparity Work Group. And I've appointed 5 amazing lawyers as at-large members, 4 of them being at-large governor candidates from our last meeting. I was just impressed with so many people. And a chairperson. Chairperson is going to be Governor Alex Stevens. Of course, as he rolls off the board in September, he will be increasingly taking on this task and will be carrying on the great work of this board and the great work of our profession's great self-examination. And I'm very proud that Governor Stevens will continue to be an important partner of the WSBA as we go into next year as well. Thank you for that. And the moment our Skamanian residents have been waiting for, and all of us, because one of the things the bar tries to do is we try to travel all over the state so we can actually meet with members and experience their communities and get a real on-the-ground feel for how our practitioners live and give them a chance to give direct feedback. Coronavirus has disrupted that. But we were planning to be in Skamania, and the Skamania bar, the Klickitat Skamania County Bar, the Klickitat Skamania County Bar has nominated a person for Local Hero, and they are being awarded the WSBA's Local Hero Award. The Local Hero Award is given to those who have made noteworthy contributions to their communities. Of course, While we have to cancel the free lunch that local hero would normally get, and we won't be there in person to shake their hand or elbow bump or air high five from across the room as is appropriate in Corona times. We can still honor who they are, and eventually we will get their symbolic, physical, commemorative item to them and a free lunch at some point. Our local hero was selected by the Klickitat Skamania County Bar, and he is Court Commissioner Jeff Baker. Jeff was selected for the Local Hero Award for his dedication to the residents of his local community in Trout Lake and to the students of Columbia High School in White Salmon. For many years, Jeff has served as a mentor and has sat as a judge to Columbia High School youth as they prepare for their uber-competitive statewide YMCA mock trial competition. Kids and adults alike will remember Jeff as a high school varsity soccer coach, co-chair of Trout Lake School M&O Levy Committee, and other extracurricular activities for youth and community. And many in the area of know Jeff Baker from his days of serving as Trout Lake Council member for 16 years, as well as 20 years serving on the Trout Lake Community Foundation, for which he was a founding member. Jeff earned his JD from the University of Minnesota, where he graduated cum laude, and a BA from Lewis and Clark College. He is a member of Minnesota, Oregon, and Washington state bars. I didn't ask, but I presume Washington is his favorite. He worked as a special assistant attorney general, specializing in OSHA enforcement cases in Minnesota, as an associate at Wynn LLP, and a partner at Anila Carey Baker Thompson Van Coten PC, and a court-appointed arbiter in more than 100 times in Oregon's 7th Judicial District and in Klickitat County Superior Court. Jeff's nominator, Klickitat Skamania Superior Court Judge Randy Krog, describes Jeff as the hero that we would all want on our side. Judge Krog further remarked about Jeff as one of the genuinely nicest human beings that I've had the pleasure of encountering over the past 15 years. He always had a smile for those who come in contact with him, and is always a very willing listener, whether that is on the bench, in the office, or out in the public. If only we all could have that known for each of us in the profession. Commissioner Baker couldn't be here today, but I hope his children were able to dial in. I thought they might be able to. It is an honor to celebrate Jeff Baker today. Commissioner Baker, thank you for being an exemplary member of the legal profession. Congratulations. Everyone, please join me in a big round of applause for Commissioner Jeff Baker. Or you can do this. It might be also appropriate if you're on mute. Yes. Very good. Thank you. I guess I could ask very briefly if either of Mr. Baker's children are here. It's okay. You don't have to acknowledge. But I just want to acknowledge the greatness of that man and thank you for being here. And I wish you many more years of inspiring the next generation of lawyers. Thank you. Finally, I would like to publicly acknowledge the resignation of Governor Kim Hunter. She asked Director Nevitt to read a statement on her behalf, but it is a bit of an emotional time for all of us in processing this, and Governor Shichetti will be doing the reading. Governor Shichetti.
Thank you, President Majumdar. I'm going to read the statement and then I may have a comment or two. Last night, as President Majumdar mentioned, Governor Hunter forwarded a statement to be read, and I have it here. I'm going to read it to the best of my ability. Fellow governors, I am sure most of you know I've resigned my position as governor of the 8th District immediately, along with all responsibilities on committees, liaisons, or work groups assigned to me. I contracted COVID-19 in mid-March, and although I survived the initial extreme onslaught of symptoms in late March and most of April, it is still a long way to complete recovery. I'm now dealing with after effects of this disease, which are difficult, life-changing, and as toxic as the disease itself, and it may last for many months, if not years. It makes it very difficult to do the simplest of tasks, including serving on the board on a level that I would expect for myself. Because of these reasons, I must resign. I would like to thank some of the staff members personally. Kevin, you are brilliant, caring, and tenacious. I simply would not have made it without you. I adore you. Tara and Sarah, You are the backbone and drivers of my goal to focus on and listen to the members. Keep it up. Jean McElroy, what can I say? The judges love you and so do I. Thanks. Shelley, you took over a tough position with grace and very little learning curve. Good job. Julie, thanks for your guidance and patience. I can be impossible at times. Sanjay, you should run for the Senate. You know more than they do. Thank you. Doug, I hope we can continue to swap recipes. Remember, tropical is best. And Rex, thanks for making me look good, even on video. You are a master in your field. Thank you to the Service Center team who always made sure I had ice. I'm sure I'm missing someone, forgive me, but I always respected and admired the work of each and every WSBA staff member. I thank you for the honor of serving on the Board of Governors. To the governors, you will receive personal notes from me. It was always my goal to focus on the board's activities and mission on the members, and to establish a line of positive, active communication. I leave you with this. Be kind, be understanding, be forgiving. We all screw up once, sometimes. It's critical that we move on to the important work that must be done. Listen to each other with respect. There are great minds here. And most of all, it was never about us. It is about the members, the sections, and the public. You must focus on that. And finally, I love and admire you all. Please be well and always wear your mask and social distance. Not to do so could be deadly or life-altering. Governor Kim Hunter. And let me also remark that joining, as all of our governor-elects are probably experiencing, joining the Board of Governors is at times overwhelming. It's like drinking out of a fire hose much of the time, and it's a daunting task to look ahead and meet new people and speak in front of people and represent your district and the members of the organization. And it's overwhelming at times. And I remember when I started as a governor-elect, and I think it was my first meeting, Governor Hunter called me up and said, "You're giving me a ride to the meeting because I've got knee surgery, and so I can't drive." And so, okay, so on my way from Vancouver, I stopped off in Kent and picked up Governor Hunter, and we drove into Seattle. And we had a very good talk and about what our lives had been to that time, and also what our goals were for joining the Board of Governors and what we would like to accomplish. And I got to know Kim a little then and over the last 3 years. And I've got to tell you, it's a lot easier facing the challenges that we have faced with a friend. And I've considered Kim to be a very good friend, perhaps my first friend on the Board of Governors. So I want to thank you for that and appreciate her words and her years of service.
Thank you, Governor Cicchetti. Governor Stevens?
Yes, Mr. President. It is my view that the congressional districts should always be filled. And while under other circumstances, if there was just an opening and it was before an election, I would say we would have to have a process in which we announced the vacancy and then opened up to all the members in that district the potential for filling the seat. In this instance, the successor, the governor-elect, has already been elected by our members, and it would be inappropriate to have anyone else. I think we should go ahead and fill the seat, appreciating the service of Governor Hunter, but I want to make sure that the 8th is represented, and I would like to move that we fill the seat at this meeting by bringing Governor-elect Williams-Ruth on as the governor to fill the unexpired term. And then, of course, he will continue on with his full term.
Second.
I have a motion from Governor Stevens and a second from Governor Higginson. I do note Governor Higginson and Governor Kang joined us. And I'm just going to check really quick. Is Governor Swagel, has he joined us? Okay. To fill the seat with the current governor-elect for that seat. Motion by Stevens, second by Higginson. Any comments? I see Governor Clark.
Yeah, no, that's. That's. Awesome. The one question I would have is, doesn't he have to be sworn in first? Thanks.
That's a great question, and I'm going to look to our general counsel. However, I don't think there's actually any formal requirement under our bylaws that we swear people in. Maybe there is, and I'm wrong. We do it, but general counsel, are you aware of a bylaw provision? And maybe I'll let her think on that. Well, is there any other comments?
Rajiv, this is Hunter.
Thank you, Governor Hunter.
Yeah, no, just
Governor Abel. Yeah.
No, that's all right. I like this idea. I think we all like this idea. I guess it's just a broader question, and I think Julie's probably looking into this, as if there are any bylaw provisions that we need to comply with in this process. If we can do this today and now, I'd like to do that. If we can't, obviously we need to follow the bylaws.
The applicable bylaws that I saw are that if a governor is vacant in the first 2 years of their term, the position must be filled by the Board of Governors. If the governor's term is vacant with only 12 months or less left in their term, it may be filled by the Board of Governors.
And I guess, Rajiv, quick follow-up. And again, I don't have the bylaws in front of me, but is there a process that we have to follow in filling that position? Is there any sort of notice requirement or anything like that?
There's not that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Is Governor-elect Williams Ruth present? Yes, I do see it.
Mr. President, I would actually move that this get tabled so that General Counsel can look into it. I will also say that I'm actually contemplating my future, given what has gone on. Both you and President-elect Shiketti are well aware of my feelings, and I am not actually prepared to take over at this moment. So I would prefer that we actually examine clearly what the process and requirements are, and we come back to it at a later time.
Sure.
Mr. President? Yes, then I withdraw my motion, and we can work this through. And I don't know what the other issues are, but we will in 2 short months be bringing on new governors. So hopefully, whatever the issues Governor Williams Ruth has gets resolved by then, and we can move forward. So I guess at this point, I will withdraw, and hopefully we can go through any and all of those other issues.
Yes, and I'll circle around after the meeting on that, and I'll figure out what the next steps are in regards to the potential governor's wishes. Okay,